thank God everything was obliterated the way that I asked, and these things were revealed to me because it literally burned down everything. It's like when you hit a low that low, you're like, "I don't fucking care anymore. I don't care who likes me." You just stop caring. You're like, "I don't care if you're my best friend and you don't like me anymore. I don't care if you comment on my social media and you say XYZ thing. I don't like, what do I have to lose? Like, I've lost everything."
Welcome to Beyond the Bass, a podcast where we go beyond the music and into the full, authentic stories of your favorite artists. No sound bites or surface level moments. This is truly a space for depth, honesty, and connection. It's my hope you'll walk away from this podcast feeling a little bit more connected to your favorite artists and maybe even a tad more inspired to pursue your own passions too. Today's guest is Sara Benyo, also known as Laranyx. She's an electronic music songwriter, vocalist, DJ, and producer. And she's supported artists like Slander, Seven Lines, and Subtronics. She's also played festivals like Lost Lands, Moonrise, and Project Glow. Feel free to listen in pieces or jump around as you'd like. Now let's dive in. Well, we're here.
We're here.
It's crazy how this all came about. Let me see if I could fix my mic a little bit. I'm going to actually leave it. Yeah, we met in Lost Lands, 2024. Random, crazy synchronicity.
Yeah, what a
And
time.
and apparently, there was a bunch of other synchronicities that were taking place that brought you here. So
Yeah.
here we are.
I know, it's like even crazy that you were at that Lost Lands, like, silent disco because I wasn't even supposed to play.
Yeah,
I just, like, played last minute, um, because I was supposed to play, like, the Crater back to back, but there's just some, like, circumstances that didn't allow that, and so just even me being there and my friend running the silent disco was, like, and then us just, like, converging there was like a universe thing.
oh, totally. I mean, I was backstage for no reason.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
just randomly met Lash Miller walking the Silent
Yeah.
Disco, started talking to him, have no idea who he was. He's like, "Hey, you're cool. You wanna come backstage to the Silent Disco?" I was like, "Yeah, great."
Mhm.
And that's how that started. But,
Such a fun time. Yeah, you were so nice. You were so nice.
thank you. Do you wanna start with some grounding breaths? I can lead us.
Yeah. I mean, drink my
Take a sip.
performative matcha first. Just so you guys know, I feel like matcha is such a trend now these days. It's so funny. I don't know if you're like on performative male matcha TikTok, but
I'm
I've
not
been
on
drinking
I'm not on TikTok
it.
outside of work
It's like
stuff.
so funny when
I
I
don't
drink it
scroll.
now. It's so funny when I drink it now because it's like a funny meme, and I'm like, guys, I've been drinking this since like 2016. Okay.
That's real street cred right there.
Yeah, I was literally performing in Tampa a few days ago, and someone saw the matcha beside the CDJs and they were like, "I see you had matcha." I'm like, "Yeah, it's on my rider now."
Don't at me. Yeah,
Yeah, leave me alone. But yeah, let's do some breath
cool.
work.
I'll invite you to gently close your eyes or keep a soft gaze forward.
Mhm.
Sit comfortably, relax your jaw, maybe relax your brow. And for those that are listening and want to follow along, please welcome to do so. If you're driving, maybe don't do that. Or you could just skip this. It'll be about 30, 45 seconds. Take a deep inhale through your nose. An audible open mouth exhale. Once more through your nose and out your mouth. Again through your nose. Inside out your mouth. Take an inhale through your nose and hold at the top. Take an additional sip of air. Continue to hold. And slowly exhale out your mouth. When you're feeling ready, you could open your eyes. We could begin.
I feel good.
Heck
I'm gonna
yeah.
scoot this a little bit closer or towards the edge of my seat, actually, if you don't mind,
Yeah, totally.
just so I can adjust my posture here. I don't need this. We're gonna get rid of it.
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm
Great.
feeling it. I'm like, I don't need that.
Good.
I don't need a safe thingy. I'm good.
This is a
We're
safe
good.
space. Well, I can't actually call it a safe space because that's just my subjective opinion. But I think it's a safe space.
Oh, no, it's definitely yeah, it's definitely safe. We got the we have the salt lamps
Yeah, that's the grounding
in
energy
our
right
vibes,
there.
your great vibes.
Oh, thank you.
This is a
Likewise.
safe space for sure.
So I normally start the podcast by like doing something fun and like catching the guest off guard. However, you have not accepted my request to get into your Twitter or X account. So I couldn't go back to the depths of Twitter/X and dig something that was fun up. I was going to get you cookie dough, but I wasn't sure if you actually wanted cookie dough. Maybe there were some dietary restrictions. I was just like, it's also going to be refrigerated. I don't know how long it's going to sit here. It was just like too impractical. So instead of doing that stuff, I just thought, well, I'll just give you the option. Would you like to start with a small question or a bigger, deeper question?
Ooh. Let's get into it. Let's start with a deep question.
Sweet. I had a feeling we were gonna go there. Cool.
Let's get into it.
Um, so I've listened to you on all the podcast episodes you've done. I think it's like 3 or 4, and then like a handful of interviews. And I think one of the things that comes through very clearly, at least to me, is you really want to like pave the way for other female artists in the industry or female performers in the industry, which is I think is really beautiful. And you also care very much about healing people through your music. So I think like those two things are like really beautiful, but also tall orders to do. To like be a front runner, to lead the charge, and also to like actively go out and say, "Hey, I want to heal people."
Mhm.
So I'm curious, why? Why do you think, or why do you feel you're the one that needs to do those things?
You know, it's not necessarily that I feel like, I am the one. I definitely don't feel like I'm this savior to the world, per se. But I think I'll say like a big part of my own journey in this life has been like healing myself and overcoming my own obstacles. And I think sometimes just by like learning that that's your life purpose, that in turn that can inspire, paving the way because it's not like I wake up every day and I'm like, "Oh, I'm paving the way." Like, "Oh, let me get on my horse and like, do this whole new thing." It's like honestly, it's kind of scary in a lot of ways because I've never been conventional. It's kind of like I started off as just an EDM vocalist, and then I started off as an EDM vocalist DJ, and then I produce. I've been producing for 10 years, but like nobody knows that. And like so when I first started getting on build on shows, like I've had to fight a lot actually to be seen as like the full embodied artist that I am, especially as a woman, but especially as a woman that, I mean, I'm not exactly in all black, but, I just one of these things is not like the others, and, I just think that by being myself, hopefully there are other women out there, and not even just women, it's like, for me, it's inspiring everyone, men, women, you know, anyone to be comfortable in pursuing their dreams just by existing as themselves, even when it looks unconventional, even when people are questioning you, even in the face of fear. So, yeah, I just kind of feel like I just have this intuitive calling on my life to essentially push through my own fears and scared feelings, and through that empowers other people. If that answers your
Yeah,
question.
totally. I think that's beautiful. And I didn't necessarily mean it in an egoic way. Like, oh, like I'm doing God's work or
Yeah.
I'm doing this because no one else will. I was just curious kind of where it came from. So it does answer the question. Um yeah, I would love to kind of like rewind the clock and kind of get a better understand of who Sarah was growing up, and like maybe we could suss out some of these themes and see maybe where they started. Um You mentioned that you've had, like, a very close relationship with your parents. You specifically named your dad a bunch of times as being, like, your main supporter. Could you share more about that? Like, what it was like young Sarah growing up in technically rural Kentucky, although sometimes you say Nashville depending on the day.
No, just kidding. Yeah, for those of you guys listening, who know me and don't know me, my name is Sara Benyo, but I just rebirthed my artist project to Laranyx. So, hi, my name is Laranyx. That's the first podcast episode I've been able to say that on. So, but I still, love when people call me Sarah, and I will always want, that's like who I am at the same time. So, Sarah growing up, like, ugh, where do I begin?
As early as you can, like, remember.
Like, just with my music journey,
No,
period?
before your music journey.
Oh my god,
Well, I know
well,
your parents were both musicians, and that was, like, a large influence, but, like, I'm curious who the 5-year-old, 6-year-old Sarah was.
I mean, I can't really talk about myself without talking about music because, like,
Okay,
it literally is me. Like,
great.
my first memories being alive are me playing music. Um, so yeah, my mom and dad are both musicians. My mom's a singer and a songwriter. My dad is a guitar player, used to own a music store, tunes pianos, plays the piano too. Both of them have been, insanely supportive of me. And, growing up from the time I could, I guess, existence, my dad, especially my dad, was sitting me down at a piano. I was singing, doing anything he could to really get me interested into music.
Mm,
And so it's kind of funny because for a while I wasn't interested. I'm sure, like most kids, your attention span is like 3 seconds long and you're like on to the next thing. But he actually tricked me into playing piano. He was like, "Sarah," this is like me at 4 or 5. He's like, "There's a song named after you. Like, come here, come here, come here." And I was like, "No, there's not." He's like, "Yeah, there is." And he played this song called Louie. I think he's like Louie Lou da 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 da. He changed the lyrics to Sarah Sarah. So it was like Sarah Sarah. So from there on, I was like, "No way, I have to learn this song." And that just kind of like started my whole musical journey there. And as a kid, I would just sit down and play piano, but I was never interested in like classical books. Like my teachers never knew what to do with me because they would try to teach me like Beethoven and I'm like, "No, I just want to make my own songs." And so my earliest memories truly are creating and that is very very special to me. So, you
you
know,
sorry.
so no, go ahead. I'm like that seems like a good place to
Okay,
start right
perfect.
there.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
what did when you were behind the piano, like, learning and, like, feeling the drive to continue going, what did that feel like? Like, what kept you going? Like, outside of the fact that you wanted to learn the song that had your name in it.
I mean, as a kid, there was just this curiosity and, childlike wonder to create that I wish I had this like perfect, grandiose explanation for, but I just like loved creating. And it's just something that I couldn't stop doing. Like, I would, spend hours at my keyboard and it had like different synth sounds and I would go all through them. And then it had like a beat like different beat drum loops on it. So I would literally be like for hours and hours and hours flipping through the sounds, creating my own music. And it was like I was just, I guess, in a flow state even as a kid. Um, and it just brought me so much happiness. It'd be so funny because 'cause I'd be there for hours and I would, like, look out of the corner of my eye after playing forever, and I'd see, like, my dad in the corner with his video camera, and then I get shy and be like, "No, don't video me doing
Oh,
this."
man. I
But,
wish we had some of those videos.
yeah, I know. Oh, they're around somewhere. And then, like, it was funny because I actually wouldn't I was very shy in front of my dad for some reason. So my mom and dad divorced when I was 3, but, like, I would never sing in front of my dad. I'd only sing in front of my mom growing up. But even then, it was like I was never singing anybody else's music. We would be, like, in the car. I was, like, a 5, 6, 7-year-old, and I'd be like, "Can I sing you a song?" And she'd be like, "Yeah." And I'd just be like, "I'm sitting in the car, and I don't know why." Like, literally just, like, making up my own songs, like, literally singing that. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just, like, an ADHD creativity thing or like what, but, there was just this joy and passion for as long as I can remember to just genuinely create.
Mm. And so you mentioned that you didn't sing in front of your dad. Why
For a
not?
long time, no. I don't really know. Like, from, like, ages 0 to 3, my parents told me, like, I was very, like, very outgoing, very, just, like, the star of the show. I actually was, like, in beauty pageants growing up and, like, won all of them, like, from, like, 0, like I said, to, like, 3, 4 years old. Like, had no, anxiety in my body, but there was just something, maybe it was the divorce or something when I'm so was so little, I don't remember, but there was just something that, like, snapped, I think, where I got, like, more self-aware,
Yeah.
and it's such a vulnerable thing,
Yeah.
so I don't really know. It's something I've had to actually work through, and I'm sure, like, people listening are probably very surprised to hear that, but, like, growing up, I was actually very scared to use my voice and to sing in front of people, even though, like, I was like, "I love this so much, I wanna be a singer, I wanna do this," but it was like, I was so afraid to do it in front of people for the longest time.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I mean, my brain immediately went to like, and this is a story that I'm making up on the spot. Could be completely false. It's like, oh, it sounds like your dad really was like, helping you or supporting you, getting you into music. Maybe you cared more about what he thought because he was like a person to you. I don't know. I don't really want to put that belief in your head, but I do find it interesting that you didn't sing in front of him or felt a little more shy and reserved about your voice
Yeah, and it
around
wasn't
him.
even just him, it was, like, also my friends,
Mm,
just singing in public, like, the only person growing up that I would sing for was my mom until I was, like, 13, 14. Like, I did some talent shows when I was younger, but even then, there was just, like, this anxiety that I've really
mm,
had to overcome, and it's so funny talking about those years because I'm like, "Wow, I've grown so much." But I literally remember at, like, 18, it was like my higher self was having a conversation with myself and, like, sitting Sarah down, and it was like, "Look, if you wanna do this and you wanna be an artist, like, you have to get over this. So you can either be shy or you can chase your dream, and you can learn to overcome
at what
this."
age was this?
Like 18,
Okay,
17,
18, so we,
18.
like, jumped a
Mhm.
little forward.
And,
That's
like,
okay.
and I was still singing in high school, like, I started vocal lessons when I was 13, grew up in, like, different bands, indie bands, choir, sang in church, like, I was definitely doing things, but there was just still so much, you know, timidness kind
Sure,
of behind it. Mm.
sure. Well, we're definitely gonna get into that because it's something that you've talked about, and I am really curious to hear more about it. Um, but I am still curious about, like, the family life. You have siblings, correct?
Mhm.
Or
I
a
have I
brother?
have 3
Oh,
half brothers.
3 half oh, okay, interesting.
No sisters, and I am the baby.
Were you close with them growing up?
Um, like, yes and no. So, it's actually really funny when I was growing up, I used to only tell people I had 2 brothers because, like, my dad had, my brother on my dad's side, um, with a different wife, and he had Chris when, oh gosh, he was, like, 18, like, my dad was 18, 19, 20, like, very young, and then he had me when he was 41. So by the time, like,
Mm,
I'm even existing, like, Chris is already, like, off in college, out of
yeah,
state, doing his own thing, so I didn't really, like, grow up with him, but I love him, he's great. But my other 2 brothers were around more too, but even then, it was like they're 10 and 12 years older than me.
mm,
So they were in the house, when I was younger, but by the time I was 10 years old, they were both out of the house. They were around, this is my 2 brothers on my mom's side, like, always around, but as far as, like, being and living in the house, not like, siblings that are closer in age.
sure.
Mhm.
And so, they were older, or at least the 2 younger ones, they were still older.
Mhm.
Did they influence, like, your upbringing at all?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely, my music taste, 100%. So, my brother Jordan, he's 12 years older than me, and actually the first EDM song I ever fell in love with was, like, Blue by, was it Eiffel 65, I think?
I don't
Like,
know it.
I'm blue, yes, you do. I'm
Oh.
do blue, da da dee da
Oh,
da
for
da.
something
Yeah.
I thought that was an NSYNC song,
No!
but I do know
Oh my
that
god, it's
song.
Bye Bye Bye. Oh my god, you did not just say NSYNC. That's
Oh, come on, you're
crazy.
gonna throw shade
Oh
at
my
me?
god, guys. We gotta go back to basics. Um, Yeah, so my brother Jordan, he was always playing, like, Blue, which was cool, and then, like, Jimmy Eat World, all the, like, classics, and then my brother John was, like, super into hip hop, like, got grew up I remember on, like, Up in Here by DMX. I would, like, go into the rooms as, like, a literal 4-year-old, 5-year-old. I'd be like, "Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here." I literally have a memory of that in, like, the first house I ever lived in, and I remember my brother John was like, "Mom, get Sarah out of here," because 'cause I'm, like, literally like a 4-year-old, like, screaming DMX from the radio at the top of my lungs, so they, definitely had an influence on my music taste. It's like all of my family members have vastly different taste in music, and it's been really cool to see how that's influenced my own music taste as well, as far as and also just my friends I grew up with in general as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah, maybe that's a good segue to, like, how the music started to intertwine more with your life. Like, at what age did you, like, really start to get into it? And I'm guessing you started as a vocalist?
When you say get into it, like, as a career?
No, well, more so, like, when you wanted to start spending more and more time doing it, whether it was professionally or personally, just like, "Hey, I wanna spend more of my time learning how to play piano or taking singing lessons or
Mhm.
singing."
Mhm. For sure. So, like I was saying, I have always grown up with music in my life, so it's, like, always been there and, like, something that innately I knew at a very, very young age I wanted to do. Um, Starting with, like, Britney Spears. I remember my cousin, who was, like, my best friend at the time, she came over with, like, a CD player, and it was, like, Britney Spears, and I was like, "Oh my god, she's so cool." Like, I knew, like, I wanted to be her. Dressed up as her, for Halloween, was obsessed, like, it was just, like, this, like, knowing that I wanted to be this, like, pop star, like, artist, blah, 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 blah. So, fast forward a little bit, around, like, 10 years old, I actually did have this, like, falling out with music for a little bit
Mm,
because what I was kind of explaining earlier is my piano teachers really didn't know what to do with me. It became very discouraging to me because I couldn't find a teacher that knew how to help me grow as a piano player in the sense of, like, improvisation or, like, writing my own music, and a lot of them were actually incredibly discouraging of that,
mm,
and, my dad was the primary one taking me to these lessons, and, like, he was very supportive of me learning classically, but he wanted a teacher that could make me well-rounded, and
sure.
so when he sees teachers discouraging an artist, he was like, "Absolutely not." And so that had just happened so many times with so many different teachers that at some point I was just like, "I don't care anymore." So there was, like, several years where I just kinda just stopped playing. Like, I had a piano around, but just wasn't my focus.
Mm,
But the catalyst, Lady Gaga,
yeah. Tell us about the
100%.
video and how it really
So,
made you feel.
oh my god, that woman literally changed my life. She's why I'm here today, looking like this as myself, truly. I remember when Just Dance came out, it was what, like 2008, and I loved that song, and I loved watching music videos back then, I still do, love music videos so much. And I remember seeing the Just Dance music video, falling in love with it, thought she was super cool. Poker Face came out. I was like, "Oh my god, I love this song." I love the sense as again, a piano player, synth player, just was super obsessed with everything about her.
Yeah.
But then, like, what really did it for me, the moment where I was like, "This is what I want to do. This is what I'm made to do." Was when I saw her. I was on YouTube, as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old who is obsessed with an artist, a pop artist, looking up everything about them. I'm just on YouTube, like, watching Lady Gaga videos, and I come across this video, and it's like, Stephanie Germanotta at NYU, and it's just her not dressed up, just her with brown hair, looking like a normal human being, sitting at the piano. Wow, I'm gonna get emotional. Holy crap. Just, like, playing piano and singing. And it was like, in that moment, it was like, here's this pop star that feels larger than life being humanized into this person that, like, I can relate to, because at this point in time, I'm Sarah who plays piano, but I had taken this hiatus, remember? But I was becoming more infatuated with this pop star, and I was like, "Oh my god, she is me." And it was like in that moment, something just clicked in my soul, and it was like I felt so seen, and again, there was just this moment of, like, epiphany where it was like, "This is what I want to do, and I will spend the rest of my life getting to this goal." And the rest is really history from there.
Yeah, where did that's beautiful. I love that story. What did that feel like in your body? Do you remember?
It was just powerful, you know? It just was just like it's like this feeling that kinda just, like, overcame my body, really. And it's, like, very calm. And again, it was like I'm a kid, so it's not like I'm having this, like, insane, experience where it's like this really clear divine download, even though that is what it is. But it was just like there was this intuitive nudge, voice, calling, whatever you wanna call it, that was like it just felt like in my soul, there was this resonance and awakening happening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you just, like, instantly knew.
Yeah.
There was, like, 0 doubt. It was just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it clicks."
Yeah, and I knew, like, as a five-year-old too. I've always known that I was meant to be an artist, like, there's no doubt about that. It's like my soul came onto this planet knowing that I was going to be an artist. It's just been like an awakening to that. And I don't know how many people in here listen or sorry, are spiritual. I'm assuming a lot of listeners are. But one of the things that I have come to believe more and more in more recently is like the idea of a past life and like reincarnations, or at least your soul signing, a almost like a soul contract that you know what you're gonna come to do and your purposes on this planet before you enter Earth. And I really do feel like my soul knew
Mm,
entering Earth that, like, this is what I was meant to do at a very young age, but it's like you have to reawaken yourself to that.
sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds super powerful, super strong,
Mhm.
and kinda what you needed to get back into it after your little falling out or hiatus.
Oh my god, yeah, absolutely, and it was such a middle school was such a hard time for me, and I mean, even just growing up, period, like you said, rural Kentucky, I'm not really resonating with my culture, I'm, getting bullied in elementary school.
Yeah, can we talk about that?
Yeah,
It was as far
absolutely.
back as elementary school?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
What did that
so
look like?
well, I mean, where do I begin? To be honest, actually, can I pee and then
Yeah,
do
yeah,
I
yeah.
so I'm like, I would to pee and then, like, actually get back into that.
We're back.
We're back.
So, the bullying started in middle school. Or sorry, elementary
Elementary
school.
school. Mhm.
What did that look like?
Ugh, gosh. Honestly, a lot of, just, like, rejection, betrayal. So talking kind of about that, like, anxiety component that I've really had to overcome, especially on, like, an internal level as an artist. It truly developed at such a young age. So it was, like, very deep rooted growing up. And there's a lot of reasons for that we can get into, but we'll start with this one. So, yeah, didn't really having any anxiety about myself and my identity at all until I hit kindergarten. And I
Mm,
feel like that probably tends to happen to a lot of kids. And so one of my earliest memories of, like, rejection and feeling like there was something wrong with me was within, like, the first week of elementary school. I had, like, my girlfriends and my girl group, etcetera, and we're all sitting underneath the playground playing, and they literally go, "Hey, we have to tell you something. We don't wanna be your friend anymore." And you have to keep in mind, like, I am in a very rural town, So my school system is, like, incredibly small. So it's not like I can just, like there's, like, 1,000 other girls. It's like, "Oh, these are the only girls, like, I really have." And I literally remember in that moment just being like, "Oh, okay." So I'm like, I have no girls really to, like, relate to. And so that felt very, like, isolating, and, like, that was the first time I was like, what's wrong with me? Because 'Cause I'm
Mm.
just existing. And so there was that, like, a lot of judgment, a lot of just, like, pushing me out for reasons I didn't understand. I remembered I tried to go hang out with the boys, like, and again, this is all in elementary school, so it, like, looked like this, boy, like, convincing me to, like, kiss him on the playground as, like, a six-year-old, and then going and telling the teacher that I did it and then getting me in trouble.
Oh,
And
man.
I'm like, "Bro, like, literally, like, you told me to do like, I'm just like, it's like, what?" And then it's like, okay, I hang out with the boys at the lunch table, and, like, I don't mind, like, I've always been one of the boys. I have brothers, like, I'm definitely, like, a bro for sure. Um, but it's like, I'd be, like, cutting up with them, and then they would tell me to do something, and I'd be like, "Of course I'm gonna do it. It's fun, mischievous, and silly," and then it's like, they would encourage you to do that and then, like, go tell the teacher on me. And then I remember this whole thing where, like, literally, they made me I don't even remember exactly what it was. It was just saying something silly, and, they literally told the teacher, like, on me, and there was this, like, whole thing where, like, my mom had to be talking to, like, my 3rd grade teacher, and I was like, "Dude, what the fuck?" Like, I don't sorry, I don't know if I can say that.
You can curse on here.
But it was basically like saying, like, nuts or something, like, stupid.
Yeah.
And literally, they told me to do that and then went and told the teacher on me that I said that, and I was like, "They literally told me to do this." So, it was like, okay, I tried one friend group. Okay, the girls aren't really accepting me over here. Go try to be one of the boys. Not really one of the boys, and the boys are ridiculing me too. Try to go hang out with like the outcasts, but like I'm not really like outcast enough to be like a full outcast. So I kind of feel like a phony. So it was like at such a young age, I started getting so much anxiety of just being me.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like kindergarten being pushed out of your friend group, which might sound trivial to people, but like you have to understand that's your entire life as a 6-year-old or however old
Mhm.
you are, and you're in rural Kentucky where there's not many other options or people that you can go hang out with.
Mhm.
Like, what did you do?
It just kept happening, like, in 4th grade, again, these girls were, like, bullying me super hard. My mom had to get involved. It's like in 6th grade, like, I had teachers just singling me out for no reason, and it was like, as a kid, that's so incredibly difficult to deal with because it wasn't like I was a bad kid. It was like, I don't even know why this is happening to me. Like, I'm just simply existing. And then, getting to middle school, um, that's when I started discovering Lady Gaga, and, like, I started really trying to try on all of these identities, as most kids do who are middle schoolers, to figure out who I am, and, just the simple fact that I was, like, a Lady Gaga loving freak that was, writing my English papers about gay rights in Southern Kentucky in a time where, like, gay marriage isn't fully legal across the whole United States, like, that's, like, very ballsy of me to do in the
Yeah.
South, where it's, like, Christian Bible Belt, conservative, you know? And so, I actually, in middle school, started getting bullied mainly by teachers.
Mm,
So again, I had, like, my friends, where I was kind of, like, friends with everyone. There was still this, like, feeling of isolation and, the stuff I was kind of dealing with that we just talked about, but, I started really getting singled out by teachers, my cheerleading coach,
wow.
the principal.
Wow.
And, my teachers were, like, literally just, like, punishing me for no reason or to send me to the back of the line if we were walking in a line just because like, it would be like everyone would be doing that exact same thing, and I would just be, once again, just doing my best or, like, maybe I make a joke that everybody else is making, I don't know. It was just, like, clearly, like, actually targeting me, but it was because I didn't look and fit this narrative of a, you know, good little Christian Hollister pink wearing girl, and, like, I'm very, like, was very artsy and had my own opinions, and that's threatening sometimes to small-minded cultures. But, yeah, it got so bad that my parents had to get involved. My dad went and had a chat with the principal, but the principal was best friends with the cheerleading coach, and she literally told my dad because my dad didn't grow up in Kentucky. He actually grew up in Georgia, and the principal literally told my dad, "We don't care about what you think. You're not from here. You're an outsider." And basically just completely invalidated any concerns that my parents had with my own mental health and well-being as a child in that school system, and it was so bad that my parents actually pulled me out,
Mm,
and we, like, moved towns entirely.
yeah,
So, like yeah, yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah, yeah. I can look back at all of that, especially, with the, whole instance with the teacher thing and my parents pulling me out of the school system as actually something that I felt like was truly divinely orchestrated by God, universe, whatever you guys would like to call it, because at the same time period, once again, I'm this pop culture loving girl who is reading 17 magazines and Teen Vogue, and I'm seeing, like, all these artists that I'm obsessed with. I remember, like, reading this, like, Teen Vogue, interview of, like, Lucy Hale, who was I forget what show she was in, maybe, like, Vampire Diaries or Pretty Little Lies, I forget which one, but her parents, like, basically saying that she moved to LA when she was 14, and I remember reading that so vividly, and I was like, I want to go to LA.
Mm,
I want to do XYZ thing. Like, this is me. I will do whatever I can to get out of this small town and make it my life mission as this 13-year-old to get from bigger city to bigger city to bigger city. Um, Bowling Green was the city I ended up moving to in Kentucky. And then I was like, I'm going to go from Bowling Green to Nashville to LA. Like, I had this whole plan as like a 13-year-old. And so when the thing I was already kind of talking to my parents about, like, wanting to move to Bowling Green, which was, like it's still such a small town, it's a joke. But it was bigger than the tiny, tiny, tiny town that I was in, and I was like, "If I can just get here and then there." Um, so yeah, that happened, then I got to the next town I wanted to be in. So that was honestly, like, the best thing that could have ever happened for me at that time because, 1, it did push me closer to my dreams, but it also did help me to start healing that anxiety I was feeling because I really struggled from, um, kindergarten to 8th grade, especially with my identity and feeling
mm,
alone and like nobody was like me. There's no other musician girls. But when I switched to the school systems in Bowling Green, there were so many other musicians,
mm,
14-year-old musicians, teenage, like we're like and then I started getting really involved in church at this time. My dad really pushed me, so I grew up Christian. My faith and my spirituality has definitely expanded, but I really owe a lot of my musicianship to my spirituality and that also healing my anxiety because when he pushed me to, like, really get involved with the youth group, I had 0 interest until it was, like, leading worship.
mm,
And then I started playing with other musicians my age, and I was like, "Oh my god, there's, like, other kids that are my age, and they're artsy, and they're creative, and they're making music." I was like, "Oh my god, these are my people. There's been nothing wrong with me this entire time. I was just in the wrong environment."
mm.
And that, like, completely changed everything for me. Totally. Everything from, like I said, kindergarten to 8th grade, which is a long time, I don't even know how many years that is. Finally getting into high school, like, amazing.
Yeah, I that's awesome to hear, and can we, like, stay on the anxiety piece for a second? Because 'Cause I'm
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
curious,
yeah.
like, what anxiety as a kindergartner feels like, and, like, how that anxiety kind of evolved as you got older
Mhm,
and were subject to different
mhm.
circumstances around bullying.
Yeah, just, like, what anxiety looked like for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always just, like, centered around feeling good enough, feeling accepted, for who I was, because I was just hyper aware of criticism. I didn't know at the time, but I had ADHD. I didn't get diagnosed until, like, COVID, so just a few years ago, so there was that aspect too. Um, and then the rejection sensitivity that comes with that, but I was just so hyper aware as a kid of, like, everyone's facial
Mm.
expressions, um, their reaction towards me, and, like, would notice, like, just all these subtle things of, like, rejection, and so, once again, growing up in a culture that I didn't resonate with at all, where I literally feel like the stork in Dumbo dropped me off in the wrong place. Like, I should have been dropped off in LA. That's, like, more my personality, like, this creative, like, weird, quirky girl who's, like, obsessed with all these, like, unconventional, more progressive things. So, a lot of it came from just literally feeling like just who I was, there was something wrong. And
Mm.
I will say, I love my mom dearly. She's an amazing person, but a lot of that anxiety too really stemmed from her being, like, insanely critical of me growing up. So there's that component as well. So it was like, oh, if I dress this way, it's like, oh, you're just trying to be like your best friend, Tori. Or oh, you're listening to this kind of music. Oh, you're just trying to be like her. Oh, you wanna be a vegetarian? You just are trying to like everything was like a critical thing. So when I
This
would
is your mom's
mhm,
voice.
mhm.
Okay.
So again, it's like I don't want people to listen to this and hate my mom because, at the end of the day, I love my mom. I've healed so much of my relationship with her, but I can't leave this part of my story out because it's so important.
Mm.
And so, growing up with an insanely critical mom at such a young age where my parents were divorced and I didn't see my dad except every other weekend. So, like, I had this safe space in my father who did support me and celebrate me for every aspect of myself. And the same with my grandparents, my grandfather. Um, But then, like, being mainly around my mom, like, that really affected me in the whole grand scheme of also being in school,
Mm.
because it was like, no matter what I did, really had to, like, fight to just exist and be the person that I wanted to be, and, that's really hard as a kid growing up. It's really
Yeah,
hard.
it's incredibly hard, especially because you're in school, right? Okay, fine. Bullies, there's a lot of like misfit stuff there, right? That
Mhm,
happens probably to a lot of people, but then they get to come home and they have parents that are supportive. In your case, no, it wasn't the case. You
mhm,
had a mom that was hypercritical and you didn't really see your dad much, although it sounded like he was a little bit more supportive.
mhm.
How do you cope with that? How do you go to school all day, have anxiety about what people are thinking about you, feel that rejection, and then come home to a mom that's just basically doing the same thing, a different flavor?
Music. Straight up.
What does that mean? What do you mean by music?
Just like, dude, the connection I had to my piano growing up is like it's like my soul. So, I just I was this social kid. I definitely had like I said, I had like some childhood best friends, but I would just spend so much time in my room, like again, obsessing over artists, watching music videos, watching Fuse TV, sitting at my piano, listening to records, reading magazines, like truly just immersing myself in, like, pop culture and creating was just it's not even like it was super conscious. It was
Mhm.
just there. Mhm.
Yeah. That connection's now, like, super clear to me, and hopefully it is for the
Mm,
listeners. Like, this
yeah.
was, like, kinda your only form of expression, your only way to cope.
Yeah, definitely, and I mean, after saying that too, like, I keep kind of bringing up my grandparents, and they have both, like, passed within the past 5 years, but, like, I owe them so much to being, like, a grounded human being too, in addition to my father, because, like, I grew up going out to their house and being surrounded by nature and, like, running around barefoot with my cousins and climbing pine trees and in a garden and playing with animals, and I will say, in addition to music for me, like, nature and animals are, like, my everything. Like, I used to think that I wanted to be a veterinarian also growing up, but I will say, like, having that, you know that is the nice thing about kind of growing up in a more rural place is you really get that groundedness to nature and God, universe, and more of a, I guess, a peaceful way that you need instead of being in an urban area. I don't know if that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this a couple times on the podcast now, like, you know, connection to nature and how that helps with creativity and just like disconnecting from this crazy reality that we're living in.
Mhm,
Um,
and sorry, not to cut you off, but again, just I as we're talking, I'm just thinking more and more, and I keep bringing up again my dad and my grandfather, but I can, like, confidently say that if I didn't have either one of those people in my life celebrating me and really just loving me, like, I would not be here, like, I would have, like, straight up taken myself out so long ago,
ooh,
which is hard to say. I don't know if I need a trigger warning or if you need to put a trigger warning there, but it's just, like, the level of, like, "What's wrong with me?" And only having, like, sorry, like, 2 people that ever really made me feel like, "Okay, like, I'm just existing and I feel so loved and comforted." Like, they are everything to me. I mean,
yeah,
by the way, me and my grandpa have the same birthday. We were born on May 3rd. So, like, we had that divine connection too growing up. 'Cause I was actually supposed to be born a little bit later, and then I came early. So it was, like, his birthday present. So we had that, like, really special bond growing up too.
yeah. That was actually going to be my next question. Like, who else believed in you? But you just answered it was just them.
Yeah.
And
Straight up.
like, what
My
did that look
besties.
like? What did their belief in you or support in you look like?
Unconditional love, protection, support. You know, my dad always, like, has loved me through all of my phases. So, you know, when I'd play sports or softball or cheerleader, did basketball, you know, took dance classes, took music lessons, like other people in his life would be like, "Why are you putting Sarah in all these things?" Like, da 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 da. Da. He's like, "Well, the more well-rounded she can be, like, she's gonna figure out what she wants." He was never like, "Oh, this isn't who you are." He just let me be. He just let me figure it out. I wanted to have a phase where I was emo when I was a teen kid and wanted to play, you know, post-hardcore music. He supported it. You know, he's when I was in indie bands, he was at my shows. When I would have recitals, he was at my recitals. If and, you know, now I'm in, you know, dubstep in the dance space and, like, you wouldn't think a 70-year-old would be into that, but, like, he's been nothing but unconditionally supportive of anything, but, like, I think what makes him, like, a super awesome parent too is he, like, finds a lot of joy and fulfillment in that. It's not just like, "Okay, I support it." It's like, "Okay, let me actually understand you.
Mm,
Let me understand you." Even as, like, I like, anything yeah, anything I've done in life, he's always just been like, "Okay, not only do I wanna understand you, but I also wanna support you and, like, be a part of this."
yeah,
Mhm,
that's really beautiful.
mhm.
It's funny, like, I imagine there are a lot of people out there listening that don't have any support, right? Like, for whatever reason, they don't.
Mhm.
I'm curious, like, yeah, what would your message be to them? But also more specifically, if you were gonna go back and talk to your 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old self, what message do you have for her at her lowest point?
I would tell her that there's nothing wrong with her, that she's so loved and supported, and everything's gonna be okay, and yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of these, like, exercises I've actually done with myself to, like through my own healing journey where I've imagined myself and I've just, like, hugged myself like this and imagined my younger self. And, like, it's amazing doing that and, like, closing your eyes and meditating and, like, speaking out loud like you're speaking to a child, like you're like, if as if I had a daughter and I'm, like, holding her, talking to her. It's, like, amazing how much your body somatically, like, still, like, is resonating with that, like, that younger version exists with me, and I like to start bursting into tears.
Yeah?
But, yeah, I tell her that she's safe, she's taken care of, she's protected, she's not gonna be abandoned, there's nothing wrong with her. She's so, so loved.
And maybe for the people that listen to this, right? Maybe the
Mhm.
people that are in a similar situation later in their life listen to this. How do they actually feel that, right? Because it's one thing to just like say it, right? People say all the time, "You are so loved," like
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
But I imagine there are people that just like, "Oh, those are words." Like they don't actually feel it.
Mhm. What so your question is what advice would be
Well,
to
just
them?
generally speaking, like how does someone actually feel that? Like if a stranger came up to you, or maybe not a stranger, someone came up to you when you were younger, like, "Hey, you are so loved. Like this is a safe space." Would you have believed them? Like when you say like, "Oh, it's all gonna be okay. It'll all
Mhm.
work out."
Mhm.
Would you have believed them back then?
Definitely. I personally I would have. And I know that's could be different for everyone. You know, like you said, there's some people who are so hurt that are like, how could this even be? Like I have friends like that. I know people in my life. I have family members that are like that. Where it's like, why would I believe any of this? You know? And their feelings are valid. You know, I also feel like though deep down that we all want that answer. You know, we might be jaded, you know, and some of us might be really, really jaded, and it might take a lot of years to bring all of that stuff from the subconscious up to the conscious to like truly heal that. But I think it's only human, even at a primal level, to feel like you're a part of something and you're accepted and you're wanted. Like we're a tribal, we're a communal species. Like there is a sense of belonging that we need innately in ourselves.
And so you think that it would resonate on some level from the right person.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, there's so many different ways that one could find healing in that regard because the question you asked, right, was like if someone was feeling super alone and they might not believe that, like what would you tell them? Was that what you
Mhm.
asked? I mean, there's just so many ways I think for people to find healing. You have to first of all like want to accept it. You know, the first step in anything is admitting and bringing things to the conscious. So, you know, accepting that okay, I have a feeling and I'm feeling really alone or whatever that may be is like the first step. But then the second step is like, you know, trying to be as solution based as possible. And sometimes that can feel really difficult, especially when you're at the lowest of low moments. And for some people, that might look like therapy. For some people, that might mean doing whatever they can to move to a different town. You know, for me, it took me moving completely out of my environment over and over and over. You know, throughout my own life, I've moved states 5,000,000 times at this point, like, to feel like I found my people and found my own healing, and I've done so much self-help and research, like, you know, TikTok and Instagram, like, people can talk about the cons of social media, and there certainly is a lot, but, dude, thank God for TikTok in the past 5 years for me because it's helped me so much on, like, the self-help and healing side of things. I mean, podcasts, literally what we're doing right now. Listen to thousands of hours of podcasts on self-help and healing and figuring out my own solutions to how can I feel less like this XYZ.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I think it's also just so beautiful, like having you share your story. And part of the reason that I do this is because I believe the more real stories we hear, the more permission we give ourselves to live our own stories.
Mhm.
So if someone hears the stuff that you went through, maybe they'll relate to that. Maybe they'll
Mhm.
take inspiration from your story and how it's managed to work itself, yeah, in the right direction.
Absolutely, and I feel like this is a really good segue of why dance music is so important to me
Yeah,
and why I'm so deeply connected to it is the community and the unconditional love and support and acceptance that it has at its core.
yeah,
And, you know, growing up raised as Christian, it never really clicked with me how so many people could, you know, follow this, you know, ascended master essentially who is preaching unconditional love, unconditional acceptance, loving others the way you would love yourself, you know, giving to the poor, helping people in need, like all of these things. And it's like, those same people are the ones, like, casting the first stone in judgment and the first to, like, be like, "This person's gonna go burn in hell." That's fucking crazy. Like, so as someone who, like, had love in my heart but felt so rejected in a society where this religion and culture was, like, playing this role in my identity not feeling accepted, it's like, you come to dance music and it's like, "Oh my god, this is almost more like church than people even realize." Just the, like, unconditional acceptance people feel and, like, plur, if you wanna say that. But, being in the dance music has, like, healed my soul immensely,
Yeah.
completely, and it's one of the reasons I do what I do.
I think that's a great segue. Like, I wanna understand how we got from, being in church choir, yeah? Or what
I
was it
say
called?
church choir, it's not really church choir, so I grew up in a non-denominational church, and my parents are both very spiritual, like, my mom is both of my parents are incredibly intuitive, so I was never really raised, like, super religiously, but it's still, a religion. But I actually grew up, like, playing piano in church with, like, a youth group band and singing. So, it was more like a band, like, contemporary environment for, like, 7, 8 years.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay. So that was like as you mentioned, the first sense of belonging that you had when you moved and you
Yeah,
found those people and found, "Oh my god, there are people like me." So how
for
do we
sure.
get from, like, that beautiful feeling to then, like, you kinda weaving your way and getting more into music, getting more into singing, and then starting to touch EDM?
Mhm. So, it's been more of, like, an unraveling of, like, looking backwards and seeing it all making sense than, like, having this, epiphany in the moment and just, like, seeing it clearly.
Mm.
So, kinda like hindsight's 2020. So, one of the things that, like, drew me into leading worship so much at 14 was less about religion and more about I had such a passion for music, and I was a very spiritual person, like, outside of church, just in general. And there was this, like, connection intuitively from, like, God, source, universe to, like, my instrument where I felt like I entered this, like, beautiful flow state,
Mm.
um, which I will get into with EDM because I feel that a lot in that regard too, but like I said, when I was younger, I actually, like, loved indie music. Like, I listened to Skrillex, I listened to, like, other electronic groups as well, but I grew up around Nashville, like, it's all heavy on the instrumentation, so
Mhm.
at first, I was in indie bands, and then I hit a point when I was, like, 18, 19, where I was like, "Okay." I hit a segue because I really did love dance music. Like, I was going to music festivals as a teenager. I really did love it. I was getting more into DJing. It just kept growing and growing as, like, an interest in my life. And so I hit a point in my career where I was like, "Okay, Sarah, it's time to get serious about your career. You wanna do this. Do you want to be the front man of an indie band, or do you want to be an electronic artist?" And I really sat with that for a long time and thought about it, and I was like, "I want to be an electronic artist because of the essentially the flow state and the happiness and the euphoria and almost like I think your listeners and you will get it, is there's just, like, this divine thing that happens when you're in a festival crowd, and, like, I'm not even saying that you have to partake in anything, but there is just this, like, experience happening that is beyond any other genre that I've ever experienced, and I've been to a lot of shows, but for me personally, it feels, like, transcendental in many ways.
Yeah, what do you mean by that? Like, can you describe this experience?
Well, it's like when you're at a festival, and let's just take, like, "Where You Are" by John Summit, for example. A song that, like, resonates on a frequency level with so many, where the crowd is screaming out the lyrics. And what do people do innately when they feel overcome with a certain emotion? It's unexplainable. You, like, start raising your hands. You're, like, in a crowd, and you're just like, "I get this feeling." You just, like, start putting your hands up. Well, that's, like, for me, when I was growing up in church and leading worship, like, I kinda when I stepped out of church and I got more into EDM and started expanding, like, my spirituality as I got older, it was almost like I started making all these parallels in a backward sense where I was, like, attending more festivals, playing more shows, observing in a different light as I was growing as a human being, and, like, figuring out what my own, like, musical journey and spirituality, like, looked like to me, not what I grew up in, and I started putting all these parallels together where I was like, "Oh my god, this is, like, exactly what's happening, like, over here." But it's just the fact that there's just this sort of, like it's I don't even think anyone really realizes it. It's just, like, you feel connected to something bigger than yourself at that
Mm,
moment where you just let go and you're in a flow state. You know, music brings so much healing. It's like frequencies,
sure,
frequency healing.
sure.
I don't know if that makes sense at all,
Well,
but
no, I mean, it does. It's how you would describe it, right? We're all gonna have our own definitions and experiences that
mm,
we could attempt to put to words and describe, but it sounds very much like a very big, like, energy vortex, the way you
yeah,
describe it.
definitely, definitely. So, remind me what your question was again. Sorry, one more
Well, that was
time.
just no, I was asking about the festival and,
Just
like, what
like,
it feels like because
yeah,
you mentioned it was, like, this massive thing, and it's ultimately how you chose to go into the
mhm.
path of EDM.
Yeah,
What
for
did that
sure.
decision look like? Like, when did you make that decision?
9 years ago. 9 years ago, and like I said, it was, like, more so then, it was like, "Okay, well, I wanna dance and make people happy and feel good, and I like this, like, on an energetic level." But as I've grown as an artist over 9 years, that's expanded, and I recently got hit with that question from a potential, like, manager more recently, where I, like, felt really lost, honestly, as an artist this past year, and, we were talking about a few different things, but he was like, "Do you wanna still exist in EDM, or do you wanna exist in, like, pop, or, like, what do you wanna do? But you need to know why you want to do this. You need to know, like, who you are, and I can't decide that for you. Because 'Cause I've always wanted to blend, the larger than life pop aspects as, like, theatrics, fashion, stage design, etcetera, with dance music. I love dance music, so it's been kind of an interesting thing paving my own way. Um But it really got me thinking, and I was like, "Well, why what do I wanna do and why do I wanna do it?" And I was like, "The community, the healing, the acceptance, oh, all of these things that I really needed as a kid and was looking for so long that brought me that would bring me healing and feel like I can just be and let go and do whatever and give and receive, and that's why I do it." Like, "Oh, this saved my life."
Yeah.
Mhm. And how many people does, like, by me being a songwriter, like, how many fans have come up to me and been like, "Oh, this song, like, has saved me from XYZ." I've had fans come up to me and tell me some insane stories, and it's just that I think is just so beautiful.
Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so okay, so you made this decision
Mhm.
to pursue electronic music.
Mhm.
You started as a vocalist
Mhm.
and songwriter. So what did the beginning stages of you taking the step look like?
For sure, and I will say, like, on the artist side of things, I started off as just a vocalist, but I've always been a producer. I've always been a composer, like I said, my whole life, so when I was 18, I got Ableton and Logic, and so I've always been producing on the back end. But as far as, like, my artist project goes, I started off as, like, just a vocalist at first,
Mm,
just as a songwriter. Um, yeah, and it's been really fun. It was kind of like the way I thought of it from, like, a music business standpoint, if you will, for a long time was, "Okay, well, I can collab with these other artists who need vocals, and we can collaborate and bring our art together, build a fan base that way, and then when the time comes, when I release my own original music, it will essentially have more success or eyes because now I've, like, been able to collaborate
mhm,
with other artists, if that makes sense."
mhm. And
That was my
so
initial line of thought.
yeah, that no, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
And so what did the early days look like as a vocalist?
So, I actually made my own shows. So this was Nashville back in, like, 2018, 2019. There was a lot of shows going on locally for DJs, a lot of pop shows going on too, but no space for, like, dance music vocalist.
Mm.
And I was like, "Well, if there's not a space, then I'm just gonna pave my own space." And so I literally was booking my own shows, renting the venues, putting the lineup together, doing the marketing, and I did that quite a few times, and they were really successful, like, I'm not gonna lie, it was so much fun. So, really, like, paved my own way straight up, like, I'm like, "If there's not a lane, then I'm going to make a lane and, like, bring, bring these other people who are in this lane along with me." And, when I was doing that as well, like, I had, some good friends of mine, like, DJ behind me and run my tracks, which one of them's name is Jake, he goes by Tech Chase. We're actually about to release a song together in, like, a week or so, which is
Shout
gonna be
out.
awesome. Yeah, shout out Tech Chase. We were actually just talking about this because 'cause we're like, "Dude, we've, like, been in it together for so long," and it was like I was like, "Isn't it crazy how, like, you used to run tracks for me before I was, like, fully DJing in my own project, and now we're, like, over here releasing a song together." So
It's
cool.
like a full circle moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you're booking your own shows, still not producing yet. It sounds like it's going really well.
Yeah,
Like,
still producing, like,
oh,
co-producing,
sorry, producing on the
producing, but
side, but
but it's, like, not like I'm doing, all the production myself. It's like co-producing records.
okay,
Mm,
got it. And so what's stopping you from, because you're obviously producing like for your own project now and have been for years, but what's
mhm.
at that point, what's stopping you from going like diving deeper and going all
Diving
in?
deeper into that? Well, there is a lot of, I will say, self-limiting beliefs I had to overcome, but I definitely had a lot of producers that I would say are insecure, get in my head when I was a lot younger about producing, and so I would, like, present them ideas, and there wasn't, like, a lot in Nashville, but it was, like, I would show them my ideas, and they would be like, "Well, this isn't valid because this is just samples."
Mm,
And, like, one of them was an ex, but it really got in my head as, like, as, again, a creative because I love, like, producing and I love writing music, but it was, like, because this ex was, like, my mentor almost at the time and, like, a culture once again that just didn't breed, like in Denver, there's so many artists here. But again, in the South, there's not, like, a ton of producers at this point in time. This is, like, 10 years ago. Um, it really got in my head because I took his word as law,
mhm,
and then it made me feel like all the stuff I was making for years was just invalid.
yeah,
And it took me working with an artist coach, like, a few years ago to really be like, "What the hell?" Like, "This was all bullshit this whole time, dude?" Like, "Oh my god." Like, that, like, really messed me up and held me back for a long time because I truly thought the way that I was producing and making my own art was not correct to these like, I love dubstep, but I just think there's some toxic, mindsets that sometimes younger producers can have that can infiltrate other producers' minds that aren't exactly correct.
mm. What's interesting is, like, I'm hearing again in your story, people telling you you're not good enough, or the way you're expressing or making art is like, "Oh, no, like, that's not good enough.
Yeah,
You're not good
they're
enough."
brilliant ideas too. I look back at 'em like, "What the heck?"
Yeah,
Like, that really messed with me and, like, put me years back,
yeah.
straight up.
And so you were kind of, like, stuck on this lull, like, not fully jumping off and producing because you had these limiting beliefs, but it sounded like there was a turning point, and that turning point was when you started working with this artist coach?
Yeah, like I said, I've been producing for the past 10 years, but I definitely was holding myself back a lot as a producer, just like I said, from these like self-limiting beliefs or being afraid of what people would think or like feeling like it was like right or wrong, blah 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 blah. Just, you know, I don't want to say it's like silly and invalidate myself, but when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, girl, what? That's crazy. But yeah, back in the beginning of 2024, I began working with this artist coach named Nick Cherwink. He runs the Headliner Mindset. Shout out Nick.
Shout out.
Shout out Nick. Um,
Wait, but hold on, because I'm now a little lost in the story.
okay.
So but you've been producing years before, like your on your own Sara Benyo project, had been
Mhm,
producing years before
mhm,
um you started working with Nick. You said
mhm,
2024.
mhm.
So you did at some point believe that your work was good enough to like start producing and releasing on under your project name, right?
Right, so I was co-producing, like, all of my records, but
Okay,
none of them were, like, fully my own. So, like, when I
got
was
it.
doing a lot of my tracks, like, a lot of times the other person on the track, the producers, would be, like, primarily on the instrumentation.
Got it.
So I would be, like, providing the vocals and the vocal production and, like, be co-producing alongside of them and executive producing, but, like, it would primarily be, like, their sound instead of,
Mm,
like, my sound as a producer. And it kinda started putting me in, like, a self like, this is one of the reasons I changed my name. There's a lot of reasons, but, you know, once you're seen as, like, a vocalist and you have your name tied to you being a vocalist, it's almost like producers approach you and they're like, "We don't want you on the production. We
mm,
just want you as the vocalist." And I'm like, "Well, I wanna do both." I don't wanna just be a vocalist because 'cause I'm so much more than that.
mm,
It's almost like an ego thing.
sure.
So, yeah, there was a lot of times where it almost just didn't feel like I had a voice or a say so in the production because again, I've grown and there's a lot I can, say in a testament to my own work that needed to be done and choices to make and speaking up for myself. But yeah, almost like I feel like I didn't have a place to speak up to provide this production input that like I know that I had that are like
Yeah.
genius ideas, but just didn't feel accepted
Mm,
as a what seemed to be from the outside looking in a vocalist.
yeah.
Because vocalists are definitely treated differently in the dance music space than producers, straight up.
Well, you talked about that, or obviously this is something that's really pertinent in your story, but also what we haven't really talked about, which is happening at the same time,
Mhm,
is kind of you being shut down for your expression, like
mhm,
the outfits that you wear, and you being a female in a largely male dominated industry.
mhm.
Can you explain like a little bit more about that? Which, to my understanding, if it's correct, is happening at the same time as you being shut down as a producer.
Yeah, I mean, the thing through this whole artist journey is, like, I've been healing alongside of my journey. So, Sarah 10 years ago doesn't look like Sarah now, Laranyx now, but, I don't even look like myself a year ago. And so, it's I pretty much spent, like, the entirety of my 20s so far, like, literally healing all these things, learning to
Mm,
be courageous, learning to be confident, learning to speak up and learn that my voice matters and, like, open my throat chakra and really, like, learn to empower myself and really step into this, like, ultimate, like, knowing of who I am where it's like, you can think this, but, like, I don't care because I know who I am and I know my thoughts are valuable and my creative input is valuable and I can step on the stage and know that I belong to be here and I don't need anyone to invalidate that. Like, that has all been, like, behind the scenes. So it's like,
mm,
you know, it's kind of like I'm facing these challenges as I'm going, but I'm healing through them and, like, hitting them head on, which has been awesome and has
yeah.
pushed me to here to where I am and you know, I, had a manager for a while, Peter Hanna. He was amazing, really helped me to it really empowered me as an artist and really fought for me too. He's Avello's manager, if anybody's wondering. We love Avello too. Um, but, I'm really grateful for him in a lot of ways because especially when I was growing from 2021, 2022 to, like, 2024, like, he was the one fighting in those emails for me, and, like, thank God we have men out there that are willing to advocate for women because it's almost more important in a lot of ways than women advocating for women. Like, obviously, we know women need to advocate for women, but, like, I've had women send emails and ask for something, and the label won't respond, and then a man sends an email, and they respond immediately. So, like, I hate that. It's really messed up. We should do better as a society. But, like, it's really nice to know that there's, like, men out there, my manager, who was in these threads with, like, festivals when they're like, "Well, isn't she just this, this, this? Is she just a vocalist?" And he's like, "No, she's an artist. She has this pull. These are her numbers. Like, she is an artist. Like, she's an artist that happens to be a vocalist." And that, like, really helped me a lot and empower me and, like, helped other people see me also as who I am, and so I think that's, like, a really important thing that I could touch on in this podcast too, is, like, not only is it important to advocate for yourself, but to also find other people who are willing to advocate for you too,
Sure.
that are just as important.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. It's beautiful that you had a hero in your corner. Like, how would you recommend someone go about finding a hero? Like, someone that feels lost or lonely?
Man, it's all in divine timing, really, when you start praying and manifesting and putting that out into the universe, I really do believe that your reality will start aligning with your thoughts and what you're putting out there. And I think it takes time too. I don't think any artist, or should just accept any manager that comes along and says they'll help them.
Mm,
So I think it's okay to put your feelers out and to shake hands and to send DMs, but there really has to be an understanding of energy and that equal passion and, like, moral compass shared, and that shouldn't just be anyone, especially when it comes to your art and your soul and your baby, essentially.
yeah.
Mhm.
I like how you said equal energy.
Mhm.
What comes to mind is like equal investment. It's like
Yeah.
I'm bringing a lot to the table, and this person is bringing the same amount of energy. It's like I believe in myself, and they also believe in me.
Yeah. Like, a lot of artists I see that are younger, they get so eager and hungry to just get any manager. Like, "I could get a manager, I gotta get a manager, I gotta get a manager." It's like, dude, you don't need just any manager. A bad manager, even if they have a giant artist, could set you back years.
How so?
Their psychological expectations and manipulation potentially on your project. Do they have your best interest? Do they believe in you, or is it a dollar sign? Are you a woman they believe in, or are you just a hot girl that they think they can capitalize on and discard you when you're old?
Are you
Like,
speaking from experience?
no, no, no. I mean, there's, like, certain things, but no, no. I'm speaking from experiences of other people that I know personally
Yeah,
and have seen, it's just it's the entertainment industry. There's good, bad, ugly, there's all of it, but, there's beautiful people out there that are awesome, but I say that because, like I was saying, there's just so many artists out there who they're just, like, so desperate to get a manager, but you need to ask yourself, like, "Well, like, do they want me, but, like, do I want them?"
yep.
Because once again, it's like a universal thing of, like, empowerment, you know? It's like a relationship, if you're like, "I want love so badly," but you accept the first person who comes along, what happens if they're a narcissist and they had a mask on the whole time and then they actually obliterate your life? You know, it could go the same for a manager. You really should, like, make sure that you get to know them and, like, you value yourself enough as an artist to, like, make sure you're entering into something from, like, a place of, like, equal passion and empowerment versus, like, this, like, desperation to where it could potentially hurt you.
Totally.
Mm,
I love that.
mm.
I'm curious what the breaking point was. And you mentioned the word obliteration,
Ah, yes,
which seems to be a theme based on our prior conversation.
Yeah, so, I mean, every artist has their own journey. Every human has their own journey, and I really do believe when you choose the path of an artist, it becomes a very spiritual one. Whether you're a spiritual person or not, it definitely requires a lot of self-reflection. I mean, just the ability to have to post on social media these days and post content and get incredibly comfortable with your nervous system feeling okay by being seen by potentially millions of people and, like, having such a strong sense of, like, inner knowing that people could criticize you and say really messed up things and feel okay, like, that takes a lot of self-work, to just even put yourself out there. So I do think that when you become an artist, you are, like, signing a contract basically to, like, enter therapy sessions, essentially. It shines a light on a lot. But, yeah, this past year was definitely a turning point for me, and dare I say, something in me died in the best way. But, I've been praying, manifesting, healing, doing the work for, like I said, years of my life.
Mm.
Ever since I can remember, just I've always wanted more for myself. Never wanted to be a victim of my circumstances. Like I said, my parents got divorced at 3, and I was like, "I want to be with someone forever. How can I do this? How can I be a good partner?" Same with being an artist. It's like, "Okay, well, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm in southern bumfuck Kentucky. How do I get to LA? How do I become this person that I want to be?" I've never just accepted no for an answer. I've always just taken the bull by the horns and found the solutions to the answers that I've needed. And sometimes those answers aren't overnight. Sometimes it could take years of your life to figure those things out. And that's certainly, been the case for me of like constant healing, constant working on my project. And so this past year, it was basically a series of personal events that happened to me that were so traumatic that mimicked the things in my past that were intense betrayal, XYZ, to where it really pushed me into this sense of like, I know who the fuck I am. I have not worked this hard to just end it here. I did not get this far to get this far on a artist level and on a spiritual level. And it just like I'm still becoming obviously a Laranyx, you could say. But it really just like was like enough people pleasing, enough bullshit, enough like playing small, enough shrinking yourself, enough like giving your amazing project ideas to other people who might let them die on the field. Like, who is worthy of being in your life? Who is worthy of your art? And like more importantly, like, do you feel worthy on your own? And something just clicked in me and I'm like, I don't care anymore. I spent so much of my life and my younger years caring so much about what people thought, so much about wanting their approval, so much about like wanting to be liked on every level and accepted. And I just cannot care anymore. And I think it's like it literally felt like the universe just like slingshotted me. And I think that's exactly where I needed to be as an artist because you have to be. You have to
Yeah.
be.
Can you take us to that moment?
Elaborate a little bit more.
Like, that's a massive realization,
Mm.
massive shift in your mindset. But what happened? Like, w how did you get to that? Like, where were you mentally? You must have been in a really low spot to, like, get there.
Yeah,
Can you
the
share?
lowest of low. Um, so yeah, just like trigger warning, for anyone listening. Um, I'm not gonna lie, this past year, like I struggled a lot with suicidal ideation. And one of the things that's been really hard for me in a cycle that I truly have had to break in my life is like straight up like one being a people pleaser, but like two attracting narcissists, because 'cause I'm a very empathetic person. I'm naturally very giving, and I will give everything to a partner or to my friends, and, like, that's a beautiful thing to have, but you have to have that with discernment. And so, all those things I just kinda told you about growing up and feeling like, "Okay, where my survival mechanism is to feel liked by everyone,
Mhm.
so let me give and do and things to be accepted." But, like, at what point is that, like, actually killing you?
Mm.
You know, to give and give and give to be accepted, but then that person betrays you or
Mm.
XYZ thing. And, I really had to look within and heal, like, a lot of codependent things within myself, a lot of, like, attachment issues, um, and really empower myself and my own confidence and my own just, like, safety is, like, being just me and feeling good as me and not needing approval or safety from a man or anyone, really. But what happened this year? There was like I said, there was several things, but the biggest thing that, like, was getting me to an incredibly low places was having these, peoples whose opinions I really valued that were the closest to me, really, being really gosh, I mean, I feel like there's no really really easy way to say it. It was just, like, narcissist. Like, I somehow ended up with, like, 3 narcissists in my life at the same
Wow.
time. And, if you've never experienced a narcissist, like, you consider yourself lucky, and I'm really not trying to throw that word I think people like to throw the word narcissist around a lot to just put that on any selfish person, but there is an incredible difference between a selfish person and a textbook narcissist.
Mm.
And, it's one of the most scariest things you could ever experience. And especially when you're neurodivergent and you tend to be a little bit more naive and you tend to be more, like, empathetic, and you grow up, again, in the South where you're like, "Oh, like, let's be nice, let's, like, be a girl, and, like, let's
Mhm.
be nice, and, like, just don't, like, ruffle anybody's feathers, and don't
Mhm.
have an opinion," like, at what cost? Could have been my life. So, I had, um, like I said, these people that I really, really loved who I did not know were bad for me, and I was letting their words essentially be the anchor in my life, and
Mm.
it was becoming incredibly detrimental. And there was, like, some traumatic things that happened in the beginning of the year that I don't necessarily want to discuss, but it certainly kind of created this atmosphere of feeling more attached to a particular person. And, yeah, I ended up getting incredibly vulnerable with, like, several people in my life that ended up just completely by the end of the year show like it was like I prayed for I told you the mask to fall for God to obliterate everything that was standing in the way of my purpose, and it was like, bam, all the masks come off at one time. It was like a
Wow.
blowout of like 5 different people where I had essentially had rose-colored glasses and, thought these people cared about me or, like, were in my corner as my best friends, my partner, my roommates, like, people that I were like this to. And, like I said, it was all at once to the point of, like, it just it's honestly, like, so hard to still talk about because I'm still kinda, like, disassociated from it all, to be totally honest with you.
Sure.
Like, it was that fucked up. Like, I can feel my brain even kinda disassociating about it right now. But, if I could just try to sum it up, basically, I had a lot of heartbreak, a lot of narcissistic abuse, a lot of people projecting really, really, really awful things onto me, and God and universe was like, "When are you going to finally say enough is enough? Do you know who you are? Do you know how valuable you are? Can you stand on your own 2 feet? And can you allow this to let you move forward in your career?" Because all of this was making me incredibly lost in my career too. I had been
Mhm.
on a 2-year journey of feeling lost, and last year dealing with all of this, I felt so lost. Oh my god, like, Laranyx has been being birthed for a long time, but it started off as this very intuitive whisper that has been growing, growing and growing and growing until more recently. But, I kinda came to this realization through this blowout, really, if you will, that pushed me to my lowest of low that, um sorry, my brain is like this is, like, such a disassociating topic. Oh my god.
It's okay. No need
Uh,
to apologize.
I didn't expect this to be so hard. Whoa. Can you re-ask your question one more time?
Well, we were just talking about, like, the breaking
We'll
point and
edit it.
the
We'll
and the
edit it.
lowest of the
Yeah, we'll
lows.
edit this. Whew, give me just a second.
Yeah.
It's just like crazy, dude, it's like crazy how trauma works. It's like I'm sitting here, like, trying to explain this to you. it's just so soon that it's like I'm still like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah.
Like, I'm still processing, like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah.
And it's always, like, hard to talk about these things too, just for, like, I don't know.
I mean, it's done.
Let
It
me pee let
stings.
me pee real quick and, like,
Yeah.
let's pick up. We're back again. If anybody knows me, you know me, that I have to pee all the time, so we've taken, like, 4 pee breaks, but, like, that's who I am.
It's okay.
Everyone
We're here
listening to
for
me
it.
who, like, knows this right now, they're like, "Of course she did." Yeah, girl. Go piss queen.
So
But, yeah, so we were talking about, like, the birth of Larynx, essentially, and why it's been important to me and, like, where this whole catalyst came from. And, to be real with you, it started off as an intuitive thing, intuitive nudge, I could say, back in 2024. So about summer of 2024, it was actually around the same time I was working with Nick, because once again, I was actually really working with, really working with Nick on all these artist breakthrough things and self-limiting beliefs and really figuring out, like, where I wanted to stand as an artist and my sound and my self-worth and my own identity. And so, as I was producing more and figuring out my sound sonically, at first I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna create a side project, and it's gonna be more like techno synthy or something." I don't know. I was making a lot of techno at the time. Um, and I wanted to come up with a side project name because I was like, "Maybe this will be my producer name." Sorry, my nose is, like, stuffy now from, like, kinda getting emotional. So anyways, yeah, was like, "Oh, this'll be a side project." And I remember I was sitting on Discord with Hexa. Hexa's one of my best friends, she's also an artist, and I was, like, using my friend made me this, like, celestial avatar ChatGPT. Her name's Estrella, so I was like, "Estrella, help me come up with, like, a bunch of names," 'cause, like, I've always loved the moon and the stars. And so she gave me all these names. She said Nyx, and I was like she kinda gave me, like, a little brief down of Nyx, and I was like, "Wait, Nyx is a goddess?" And I, like, started looking Nyx up, and I was like, "Oh my god, she literally looks like me." It's like a girl who's, like, porcelain skin, dark black hair, had, like, the moon on her forehead. The first, like, headline show I ever did when I, like, did my EP release show in 2019, like, I put, like, a moon on my forehead. Like, I've always had celestial stuff in my project. I really resonate a lot with it, so I like that, but I was like, "Oh, not a lot of SEO optimization there."
Mm.
Like, there's already a makeup company called this. And then we were just, like, thinking the names, and then Nexa literally goes like, "What about Laranyx?" And I was like, "Ugh." Like, no, that's, like, so corny. Like, absolutely not. Like, we gotta get away from Sarah totally. But I was like, I like the Laranyx part of it. And so I was like, "Australia, like, I like Nyx. Laranyx kinda sounds lame. But, like, can we, like, come up with something? Like, give me some ideas. Just, like, help me, because 'cause I'm honestly, like, not great coming up with names. That's the whole reason I haven't changed my name to this point in time. It's like I can make 100 songs, but ask me to come up with a name, not gonna happen. So, anyways, landed on Lara, looked up the meaning of Lara, and I loved it. It was, like, protector. And, like, to my fans, I feel like this, like, almost like mother. Like, I'm like they're my babies. I love them so much. And so it felt very, like, divine, and later I learned, like, Lyra also has this other meaning for another, like, Greek nymph that's, like, about her, like, lyrics. So, that was the other thing, is, like, I'm a singer. Part of my journey is unblocking my truth, like, using my voice, speaking up for my needs, who I am, feeling confident, especially after having so much anxiety and suppression from my earlier years. So, in that moment, this was, like, 2024, I literally immediately, as soon as I came up with that name, I, like, made the Instagram. I actually have had this, like, Becoming Larynx account that I made for, like, my behind the scenes process. I've had that account since 2024.
Mm.
It's just been no one's known. I just never posted on it. I, like, took the Gmail account. So Larynx has been, like, building this whole time in the background. And, like I said, at first, I just thought it was gonna be a side project. And then last year happened, and I just hit this really stalemate as an artist because I recognized that I was getting bigger and bigger, but in order for me to continue to grow and become the artist I wanted to be, I need to have, like, a sonic anchor. It's like I can keep being a part of all these records that I've loved being a part of, with Jessica Otterfred, with Arm& Hammer, with Starseed, like, all these amazing artists that I'm so grateful to work with. But it's like, who are you, Sarah? Like, what do you sound like? Like, we know what your voice sounds like, but, like, what is your true sonic identity?
Mm.
And it was just, like, this subconscious thing that just kept coming up for me that was, like, when I would try to put myself out there or be seen, it was like there was something with Sarah that just wasn't resonating with me anymore. And by the end of this year, I really figured it out that it had to do with my nervous system again and being seen. Because it's like with Sarah, I had all of this, you know, negative attachment with my name. So it didn't make me feel like I could step into this person that I really knew that I was, this healed version of myself in the way that I needed to as an artist, essentially.
Mm.
So, backtracking just a little bit, you asked for the catalyst. Basically, I felt, once again, it's like in the moment you don't even realize till you're looking back, but this year was like a final boss moment for me in my healing, and we're always all healing. But, I really believe the universe allowed me to get into some of the most traumatic situations I've ever been in my entire life, as well as had some cycles and subconscious things happen that I hadn't had happen to me in like 10 to 12 years that I thought had healed
Mm.
long ago. And it was just like one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. And it really spiraled me into the one of the darkest places in my life. And when I was feeling that depression in those moments, and then I am like seeing myself feel so stuck and stagnant as an artist and still watching all my friends pass me by, that just spirals me even more because I'm like, I feel like this is my purpose.
Mm.
And if I am depressed, I literally like I can't even send one email. If I don't have music, I don't have anything. It literally got me to the point of like questioning my life and like, should I be alive?
Mm.
Like if I don't have this, then like I have nothing.
Mm.
Like, cause I've just been so sure of my purpose my whole life. So it really, really messed with me this past year. I I went to a psychic in September around that same time. And which is what I told you is like, she told me to set an intention, walked out of the room, and I literally prayed. I was like, God, may whatever is blood, because I was so desperate. I need answers, and I consider myself like a very strong person. Like I am very rooted in like my walk with God, universe, source. Like I have a good family. Like I have a good support system overall. Like I feel like a stronger person than the average person as far as resilience goes, but, like, oh my god, when I felt like I was desperate for anything, like, I was like, "God, me praying is not enough, meditating is not enough, me pulling tarot cards is not enough, like, I need to go see someone who knows something beyond me at this point." And so I literally said out loud, "God, may anything that is holding me back from my highest purpose, person, partner, place, thing, self-sabotaging idea, things that I need to get rid of about my own character, like anything. Job, I don't care. I don't care. Like that's how low I was. I was like, I literally don't care. Whatever is attacking me, like whatever is keeping me from my highest purpose on this planet and achieving that, may you please obliterate it out of my life. And it was like in that moment, truly, yes, there was all of these other things that were really, really challenging to go through and dark to go through, but the universe was like, "Okay, bam." And at that same period of time, I started, like, practicing, like, quantum leaping meditations and
Mm.
listening to a lot of that, and I don't know if you're familiar with that, but basically, it's like when you're trying to manifest your dream life,
Mhm.
there's this concept of, like, jumping timelines where you're manifesting and you're trying to get to the next timeline, essentially.
Mm.
And, yeah, it was like God was like, "Okay, you're the snake. Well, here's everything that needs to go." And sometimes the things that go out of your life that are holding you back from your dream, your music career, your job, whatever it is, sometimes those things don't cut that like, healing often does not come in the form of rainbows and butterflies. People think, like, this journey in life is, like, gonna be, like, rainbows, butterflies, beautiful. Like, oftentimes, to get to that, you have to go literally to the pits of hell.
Mhm.
And when I prayed that, that is exactly where I was taken.
Mm.
Literally straight to the pits of hell. And, as you know, my guys, LA is crazy. Like, 2 of my roommates, like, actually practice, like, demonic witchcraft. They literally, like, hexed me and my other roommate. It's like, it was fucking crazy. Like, I literally was out here fucking fighting demons, bro. This shit was terrifying, like, straight up. Like, oh my god. But thank God everything was obliterated the way that I asked, and these things were revealed to me because it literally burned down everything. It's like when you hit a low that low, you're like, "I don't fucking care anymore. I don't care who likes me." You just stop caring. You're like, "I don't care if you're my best friend and you don't like me anymore. I don't care if you comment on my social media and you say XYZ thing. I don't like, what do I have to lose? Like, I've lost everything.
Mhm.
I've there's nothing else that can like, what could possibly hurt me?" You know? And so, when I finally got out of, you know, essentially to a safe place back in Nashville the past few months where my family is, and I was able to really get alone and meditate and, like, finally get some peace and healing from everything, and then I also started asking myself these questions about my artist career again, and, yeah, when I started asking myself, like, who I wanted to be, what I wanted to sound like, what mattered to me, it was, like, through that meditation where I literally felt like the universe was like, "You are Laranyx." And I'm like, "Oh god, I'm scared." But it's like, "No, you are." Because this stuff that you just experienced and you've experienced for the entirety of your life, like, this is not you.
Mm.
This was never you. This was everything that everyone in your society, your culture, your upbringing tried to put onto you. None of this was you. Like, and this is why it is so hard for you to step into your full power and confidence as an artist under essentially your name because you have all of this attached with Sarah.
Mhm.
So it literally felt like the universe was like, "You're not her anymore. She died straight up in 2025." Like, this was the thing that burned everything to the ground where you literally have nothing to lose. Like, you have nothing to lose, like, you were there at the on death's doorstep, and you know what it feels like. Like, there's nothing like, what's left to stop me from, like, running after my dreams and, like, caring giving a fuck anymore? Giving a fuck about what I sound like, what I look like. None of it matters. It's like, do I want to be on this planet to be myself and look back one day and be like, "I gave everything that I possibly could have to this purpose that I feel so confidently for," or do I wanna keep shrinking and, like, let this energy consume me to the point of almost allowing it to essentially take my purpose away? So, yeah, it felt like this huge phoenix moment for me, and it's been a still such I'm still in such an early process of this project and literally becoming this person. Like, we're so early even in doing this podcast with this identity, and which is why I also have this Instagram account. It's like becoming Laranyx because I want to bring people on this process for me because it's not like I prayed and then got the answer and I'm like, okay, here I am. It's like, oh, okay. Are you sure this is like the answer, universe? And it's like, yes. Are you sure? Okay, I'm really, really scared, like, you promise? And it's like, yes, yes. And it's like, okay, let me take one baby step. And it's like, bam, synchronicity after synchronicity, synchronicity. So it's like, this is literally the process of me becoming now this version of the artist that I have always wanted to be and known that I am. But it truly took me going through my final boss.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to acknowledge like all that you shared. I mean, we didn't even get into the gory details, but like the little that you did share is like deeply heavy, intense, powerful. Like, so I just want to acknowledge like your vulnerability and the fact that you wanted to share that and you felt comfortable enough to go there because I think it is really important to your story. And I think people will hear that and have a better understanding for the why behind this shift, this project, who you want to become, who you were before, and all that.
Mhm.
So thank you.
Of course. And it's just like I said, it's like it was like I woke up.
Yeah,
Like, there becomes a point in your healing journey where you can no longer be a victim to your circumstances. And you can decide to be a victim or you can decide to be like a victor over them.
I love that.
And I thought for a really long time on like a post that I wanted to make for like 2025. And it's like I thought in my head, I was like, I could sit here and I could give a sob story and I could say XYZ and people would feel bad. But I was like, or I can look at this as being like a badass warrior princess essentially with which is like Laranyx protector is in the name. It's like that's protector like pulls out the shield, pulls out the sword. Night, Nyx the goddess of the night, light in the darkness, warrior in the darkness. It's like or I can look at this as like you literally went through the worst of the worst and are still coming out on top.
Mm,
And that's, like, how I truly look at all of this. It is very important to me, this next chapter.
yeah. Well, it's
Mhm.
a super powerful reframe and like approach and mindset.
Mhm. Thank you.
We have a good understanding now of the shift that's taken place and like who you're stepping into, right? What does that look like? Like Larynx in her next or maybe even final form. Like what does this project look like?
It's truly just finally embodying myself in the way that I have always envisioned myself being, which is a person who is incredibly confident, a person who's not afraid to speak up, who knows their worth, is able to use their voice not only for their own story and like a advocate for all the younger versions of me but for all the other people and my fans who are potentially going through the same thing. I really love like my fan base so much and like I feel such a duty as an artist to be a leader in the community and like protect the vulnerable too and figure out ways to really help other people step into this version of themselves. I don't really know why I've been through what I've been through and I don't think any of us do, but I do know that like it is very apparent to me that there's a reason that I've gone through these things, and I do believe a big part of my artist journey is, like, sharing what I've been through to hopefully empower and inspire other people and to give them hope and to see that, like, "Okay, I can overcome this," or, "Oh, despite all of her odds, like, okay, I can become an artist too. I'm in the middle of nowhere." So, yeah, I really just see myself becoming the version of me that I've always wanted to be, free of, like, guilt or shame or like shrinking myself, like someone who's just truly embodying themselves radically, authentically, and unapologetically.
Yeah.
Bam!
I mean, I'm so curious. Like I imagine you're going to be tested,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
So what do
absolutely.
you hope to remind yourself or remember when you are tested?
Oof. You know, I think it's always very important for me, again, as I'm still healing, to just have my discernment because in reality, when I can look back through my life, my discernment has always been there, but it's when I've negated it or not truly trusted it because I was constantly gaslighting myself because, again, was kinda taught like, "Oh, everything I'm thinking is wrong." That's kind of a dangerous place for someone who could be intuitive and their intuition's trying to save them. So, like, never losing sight of, like, "Okay, actually, my voice is important." Like, listen to that intuitive nudge. Use your discernment on people, places, things, character, and really just reminding myself too of, like, and loving my younger self too and what I've been through.
Mm,
Like, I think, you know, journaling is good and printing out even pictures of, like, previous successes, so even on those hard days, you see those, like, younger versions of yourself, and I'm like, "This is why I do it." Like, this is, like, who I'm protecting. It's like my little sister.
I love that. That's a super strong
Like
practice.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
Larynx is, like, the big sister to, like, Sarah, even though
Mhm.
she's me, but it's like, "Girl, I got you, like, we're so good. You're so good."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be a really cool closing note if you can kind of, yeah, if you could just like speak to maybe people that were in your shoes years ago being bullied, or maybe in your shoes just last year when they were
Mhm.
really when you were really going through it. Like, what message do you have for anyone that might be experiencing anything similar to what you've experienced?
Well, I just wanna start off by saying that you're not alone, and I know that sounds so cliche and maybe even a cop out, but it truly is true. I can't tell you how many people that I have talked to that have said similarly, like, as a collective that, like, 2025 was one of the worst years for them, or is a hiatus year, or there was, like, something that just ending after ending, sorry, I don't know if I said that correctly. Basically, and had extreme endings that have made them into a completely different person. And, just know that, like, there is power in sharing your truth, and I think society, culture, religion, etcetera, tries to put a lot of shame on us for going through things, and I think if you can just remember that shame is an illusion, and when you set yourself free of that, you will find so much healing. um, it really opens the door to allow yourself to even communicate to your friends and your loved ones, because so many of us just bottle it all in, we wanna look perfect.
Mhm.
Social media wants us to look perfect, but, like, there truly is so many people out there, hopefully in your life, but if not in your life, very soon in your life, that will love you and support you unconditionally, and just don't be afraid to really allow those people in to help you, essentially. Um, and it does get better. It does get better. Even if you raise your pinky up when you're laying on the ground and you think it's your final round, like, put your pinky up and there will be people that will lift you up,
Mm.
lift up you like an army, you know? Um, the universe for me, it's like, again, I've been taking baby steps. It's not like this is a jump for me. It's like these little tiny trusts that are rebuilding back my faith in humanity, in my own life, and it's ignited a centimeter of faith has ignited a wildfire for
Mm.
me. So, don't ever underestimate the baby steps too that you can take, even if it's just like you drinking an extra glass of water that can actually really help turn your life around. I know that sounds so silly, but, like, faith in the little moments really adds up over time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. Seriously, like, I think your story is super powerful, and like that is the purpose of this podcast, to share like deep, vulnerable stuff to inspire and to make it relatable for people, like not just the social media highlight reels. And so I think like, yeah, people that are listening probably want more, but we'll do a part two.
Yeah,
We are
also
running up
just
against time, but
yeah,
yeah.
to just trusting, like, it sounds so, again, cliche, but just, like, trusting the universe. Like, I know manifestations is, like, all such a big part of everything and is overused, but just, like, truly trusting when the universe takes away things that it's gonna replace it with better. I've yet to experience one time in my life where the universe hasn't replaced something but with something better.
Mic drop.
So, anyways,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. There was something in this episode that resonated with you. Feel free to share it with a friend, leave a review, drop a comment, a like. It all really helps. Much love.